Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another spiritual podcast or the Enlightenment Podcast, where we talk about ideas that transform your life. I'm here joined with a few good gentlemen. All of them, I hope, are subscribed to my YouTube channel. And we're here discussing spirituality, spiritual matters. Without further ado, let's get started. Let's give a brief introduction to everybody that's here so you get a tasting of who they are. And we'll start the show. So, welcome, gentlemen. Give us a few words of who you are, why you're here, your intentions, your life, path and goal and mission, and whatever else you wish to share. We'll start at the very top left, which is Krish, right here. Please tell us a few sentences about yourself.
Thank you, Namaskaram.
Namaskaram.
So I'm Krish. I've been a long-time follower of Shiva Kailash Shambho, and I found him because of his video Sadhguru Rejected Him. And yeah, also a very deeply devoted follower of Sadhguru. And I've been to the Isha Yoga Center myself, so yes.
Thank you very much for that kind introduction. Let's continue on. The gentleman here on the top right, Cosmic Caves YouTube channel.
I'm Garrett. I run the Cosmic Caves YouTube channel, and just here to talk with all you guys. And yeah, namaskar.
Thank you very much for joining us. We had a lovely discussion just before this conversation started, so you tune into that. It'll be published on my YouTube channel. And moving right down to Alex. Alex, share us who you are.
Good day, everyone. Namaskaram. I'm Alex. YouTube channel called Shambho. I'm a follower of Isha Foundation and a big follower of Shiva Kailash Shambho, of course. And yeah, that's pretty much all I can say. I'm an Isha meditator, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much for joining us, Alex. Shambho114 is the YouTube channel. That's the @ Join him.
Thank you.
And last but not least, this fine gentleman here to my right, recent joiner of my Discord, very wise, intellectual man. Please share with us who you are.
Yes, hello. My name is Matthew, and well, I do have a YouTube channel also under the name Lionheart Dreamweaving, which is primarily for tarot videos. However, it has not been active for quite some time. I'm thinking to maybe pick up the project again soon. I'm feeling a bit inspired in that direction. And yes, I've been on a spiritual path for maybe 14 years now. It's been quite I was quite young, 18 years old when I first awoken to this, and then yes, just in the past week maybe my YouTube algorithm directed me towards you, and I felt some type of resonance to join into the Discord server and see what kind of people are here. So
thank you very much.
Grateful to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. I'm just curious, what was the video that you saw? What was the first video that you saw, and what was your impressions of me? What was your intention?
Oh. No, I don't know that I even remember off the top of my head. I think it might have been something about sexuality. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's probably just what hits the YouTube algorithm, right? But
yes.
Well, my impressions of you, if I'm very honest, it's a bit mixed, or like at the same time I'm trying to piece it, because I somehow have a feeling like I see a lot of my own parts of myself reflected in you, and some parts of myself that I'm comfortable with and that I'm proud of, and some parts of myself I maybe don't like so much, and I'm working through that. But overall, I don't know how much useful it is to say more in detail at this moment anything, because it's probably more related to my own self and my journey than anything about you, because I don't know you yet, so that well.
Fair
So.
enough. Wisely said. And let's carry on. So, talking about spirituality, this is a spiritual YouTube channel. What is spirituality? Well, two of the gentlemen that are sitting here are wearing green t-shirts, very bright color. It makes me feel a little bit like I'm missing out. I'm left out because the t-shirt that I have is so worn down, it would not be a good sight for me to put it on. And couldn't purchase a new one, so it's very unfortunate. But yes, this is a free-flowing conversation, so feel free to jump in whenever you like. Feel free to bring up questions or topics you want to discuss, comments you want to raise, any direction you want this conversation to go. Now is the time to do so. Alex, yes.
Thank you. I just I have a question, mostly pointed to Krish and Garrett. Yes, am I pronouncing correct? Yeah, Garrett. What was the first impression and the first video that you saw of Shiva? And maybe then I will describe myself. Thank you. I mean, whoever wants to be first can be
Yes,
first.
Krish, take it away.
Krish, sure.
Okay, so the first video I saw of him was Sadhguru Rejected Me. It was recommended to me by the algorithm, but I did not immediately click on it. Only when I saw his comment on the Sadhguru YouTube channel, probably on some short, I clicked on his channel, and that's how I found him, basically. So I also said this in one of my comments, that he bridges the gap between me and Sadhguru's teaching, and that's why I felt drawn to him in the most fundamental way. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that kind compliment. And yes,
I'm kind of new to his YouTube channel. So I haven't actually really explored in depth. Actually, I just joined the Discord and we just talked. But obviously I felt some congruency and vibration, so I wanted to come say hi, but I found him like literally yesterday or something, so yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, Alex, go ahead.
First video that I saw, recommended by algorithms of YouTube, Shiva, was, if I remember the title correctly, eating grapes and talking bad about meat eaters. That was the first video. I of course clicked, because how can I not click on the video with the title like this? And then I sat and saw the whole thing, and yeah, that was a big impression on me, because in that video you talked really with the powerful vibrations, I would say. So I just wanted to see more and more, and then I explored, and because of this, now I'm here talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those kind words. Yes, eating grapes and talking bad about meat eaters is a classic. It'll go down in the Hall of Fames of YouTube content creators. It is not getting the right recognition now, but I feel in the next years and decades, energy is there. I was having fun. I was in New Zealand, and I recorded this video just to riff-raff, but it's worth checking out. And Josh, you're new here. Your camera doesn't seem to be functioning properly, but that's okay. Please introduce yourself. Who are you? And what are you here for?
I just came to, I think it's fun to join these calls sometimes. And so I thought I would. I don't know where this will go, but I'm interested to see.
Mystery man, I like it.
Yes, thank you very
How
much.
did you find yourself here in the first place?
I think I found Shiva's YouTube channel, or maybe it was Carlos's. I don't know. It just showed up, in my feed. And then I heard the invitation to join a Discord and that they might want people to go on their podcast. And I thought that I would do good on a podcast. And so I took the invitation and joined the Discord.
And thank you for joining. So that concludes your introduction. I feel the most appropriate topic that we should discuss here now, as we get another caller. If you have a microphone or a camera, please turn it on. It would be lovely to see you. And he's gone. Is to talk about Kailash. Because Krish, here in the top left, has a picture of Kailash very appropriately. I am honored. I believe that's a picture that I took when I was in Kailash.
Yes, it is.
Yes, thank you very much. And without a doubt, at least in my personal opinion, if I could claim such bold words, it's one of the best pictures of Kailash that anyone has ever taken in the world. That's just how I feel very strongly about that.
Can we see it?
Well, if Krish wants to, show up close, that'd be great.
So this is the picture. I framed it and hung it up there. I don't know if you can see it, but yeah. In between Bhairavi and Dhyanalinga. And yeah.
Why do I say it's one of the best pictures of Kailash that anyone has ever seen or taken? Is because it encompasses the energy of Kailash very well. Not because it's some aesthetically beautiful, amazing picture. It is, of course, Kailash picture is always beautiful, but it shows you what Kailash is very easily. And that picture encompasses the entirety of what that mountain represents. So feel free to make use of it. There's lots of options where you can download it. And no doubt, having a picture like that in your room changes the energy and changes your consciousness. So talking deeper into Kailash, this is what we should discuss. It's one of the most powerful places for consciousness transformation. It is so unique in its vibration and its energy. There aren't any other places in the world that are like that. I've been to South India and the Isha Yoga Center. That place is very powerful. It's right next to the Valangri Hills. That mountain is insanely powerful. Shiva, the Adiyogi, you see a statue right behind me here. He walked up that mountain, climbed that mountain, and sat there for 3.5 months. He became so energetic. He energized it. You walk up that mountain, I don't care who you are. If you're the most confused individual walking on planet Earth, intoxicated by alcohol, eating meat, disobeying the laws of nature, and somehow miraculously you climb this mountain, you will be overwhelmed by its presence. It's hard to miss. Yet at the same time, Kailash's magnitude is 100 times more than that. I'm feeling overwhelmed simply talking about this energy of Kailash. It's too much. When I went there, it is like made for all types of beings, not just human beings. There are many temples in South India and all of India in general that are made with the intention of benefiting human beings. That's the intention, and very powerful they are. But other life forms can make use of those temples also. Kailash is not like that. Shiva consecrated Kailash for every being in the universe. If he has the capability, he can perceive this energy and he can make use of it. Whether it's a human being or a goblin or a demon or an angel or some other light source, some other light being, anyone or anything in this entire universe can come and make use of Kailash. That's what it's like. Give you a little metaphor here, an analogy. It's like you're interested in a particular type of book or category of books, and you go to a library that only has those books. This is very nice. It's very comforting for you when you're studying your category that you like. But one day you visit the largest library on planet Earth, and it not only has every single variety of the category that you wish to study, but it has every single variety on planet Earth. Not only that, Anything that an alien could discover about its species, it's also there. It is so overwhelming. The magnitude of it is overpowering. And it's very clearly not human-centric. Shiva didn't just make it for human beings because we're here very special. No, he made it for everybody, or everything. And I'll show you a little remnant of Kailash that I took home with me. Kailash is a mountain. As I said, it's located in northern Himalayas in the Tibetan Plateau. And the surrounding mountains also have very powerful energy, and the water melts from the mountains and they pool into this river called Lake Manasarovar. And I have, very fortunately, some water from Manasarovar. This is what it is. This is what it looks like. Very blue, very magnetic, attractive water. If you can see clearly what this is, maybe this is just water to you. It is just water, but also it's something else. So I haven't seen water that's more blue than this. Maybe one day I will drink it. I doubt it. But if I drink it, it'll be on camera. And that's just a brief introduction. Brief few sentences on Kailash. If you guys want to share anything, add any commentary, ask questions, feel free to do so.
It's very interesting.
Sure.
Sorry, we keep interrupting each other.
No. If you want to ask something.
I was just kind of talking, honestly. Just very interesting. A vibration, like I would love to experience that vibration for sure. Sounds wonderful.
Sorry.
No, I'm done now. Sorry.
Okay. I just wanted to ask Shiva, how are the rocks there? The rocks, I don't know, stones like this.
Sadhguru very jokingly said once that people shouldn't take rocks from Kailash because soon the entire Kailash will be transported into South India. People laughed. That's a funny joke. But it's true, people want to take rocks, and I wasn't any exception. I did take rocks with me. Fortunately, I don't have them here. They're still in Nepal. Got some issues with transporting them. Tried to take them into my carry-on luggage instead of my check bag. Yes, it is funny. So I'll have to get them shipped sometime later this month or this year. Now, the rocks there is no rock that hasn't been energized by Kailash. Every single rock is just glowing, vibrating with this energy. Again, it's hard to miss the most confused human being. Bringing back to this analogy or metaphor, if you take him up to Valangri Mountain, of course, he'll feel it, but it's a little bit subtler. Kailash, it doesn't matter who you are. I don't care who you are or how you've lived. You could have been the most ignorant fool in the entire universe for 100 billion lifetimes or more. You go to Kailash, it'll smash you. It's like, can anyone go shower underneath Niagara Falls and not feel the weight of the water? No, impossible. That's a very good analogy. So the rocks are wonderful. The rocks are magnetic, charged with Kailash's energy. Some of the rocks that I've seen were I wanted to take home with me. Oh my God, if I could take this home, create a proper atmosphere with a picture of Kailash and a nice proper foundation, set it, I can bring Kailash's energy to my home. I can create that kind of energy. And I've also seen that happen in one of the hotels that I was staying there. The people found one of the most perfect geometric shaped rock that I've ever seen. It was this big rock, maybe the size of what fits inside of my arms, and smooth and like a big peanut, it looked like. And they just kept it on the table in their hotel room. They brought it there purposefully so that it's a nice energy. And I looked at that and I thought, wow, if I brought this to my home, my spine would shake. Or maybe a better example is if I brought this to your home, for sure, you would have to undergo some huge changes in your life. Because that kind of energy, it forces you to submit to it. You will start to shake and vibrate and trauma will be released from your body. Your life situations would have to be changed. You would have to change them. Either that, or you throw the rock in the dumpster and continue living in ignorance. So that's how the rocks are like in Kailash.
I
guess
wonder if there's any crystals or anything. Like, I wonder.
that's a good question.
None that I've seen, no crystals. Lots of rocks. I'm sure underground there are some, but just rocks.
Probably would be wrong to mine for them to.
That's correct, yes.
So, for most of us, I don't think any of us have been to Kailash except for you. Is that correct? So it's kind of hard for us to talk about this. Yeah, we can listen to you, but I think there are some concepts that you brought up that can be broadened to a more relatable to everyone. Just because you mentioned that it's useful for transforming consciousness, which I think most people are interested in. So you talk about Kailash is useful for transforming consciousness, and we think, oh, let's do that. I'm curious if you guys are interested in that concept of transforming consciousness. Why is that?
So the question is, uh, are we interested, and why?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe could I ask a question about Kailash before we move on?
Sure, go ahead.
Just real quick, I was just wondering, so what is the story? So the story is that Shiva meditated there? That's kind of the story behind the vibration?
In essence, that's what it is, yes. Shiva meditated there.
Okay, I guess that's all.
He didn't just meditate there, he stored his knowledge in that mountain. He stored his energy into that mountain. He stored his knowing there. Energetically, you can do this. You can take your life's energy and you can place it inside of a rock. It's a very simplistic way of understanding this. I have no capability of understanding how he did this. It's way beyond anything that a human being can do. It's a massive mountain, and it is the most magnificent library that there is in existence, at least on planet Earth. So yes, he stored his knowledge there. He consecrated it. He energized it. It's just phenomenal.
That sounds like wonderful and very majestic. I really want to visit now. It kind of inspired me. I know in Ananda Marga, this organization that I had some participation in, they have Tantra Pitas, which is basically places where certain practitioners would meditate, and then it would accumulate some certain vibration. Obviously, probably not to that extent, but that's just kind of more examples of that.
Yes, correct.
But sorry we went off the consciousness thing.
I can start.
Yes,
want to?
Alex, go ahead.
So, answering the question, do we want to raise the consciousness, and if yes, then why? I guess it's not really an appropriate question to ask because we don't actually have much choice. Either we stay on one point, or we seek something more. And what is something more? Well, we are at the peak of evolution in a physical sense, in a mental sense. We cannot go any further in mentality or physicality because of the nature of our body and mind. So the only thing that is still not fully explored to all its deep nature is a consciousness, of course. So yeah, that's the only thing that's left for people to know, and of course I want them to help. I want to help them because I was struggling myself for some time. Luckily, I was able to got I was able to get everything I needed very fast, and I didn't have those gym arc winter and I don't know something else monk arc things for a couple of years. I just did it all very fast. So yeah, I want to help people do it even faster, so that they could live happily and mm, in great vibrations with everything else.
Well put. Yes, correct. There's no real choice that you have. Either you grow, expand, or you be miserable. Well, I guess that is the choice.
Yeah, I mean, it's to me sounds like a pretty deep, philosophical question, getting into potentially, the mysteries of life in general. Like, why does consciousness seek to expand? What, but if I think about it, even just from like, what are we doing right now here on this planet as humans? From that perspective, it's like, it's a question of our survival at this moment, Like, if we don't, enough of us evolve in consciousness, we will just nuke ourselves off the planet, right? It's a question of survival. So, but on a spiritual level, I mean, also there's like something going on there, Well, I guess that's what we're here to talk about.
Very good point, very valid point. Yes, we need to evolve because we've advanced in our tools, and the tools we have now are capable of destroying us many times over. We need to get a little bit smarter. We need to get smarter. Anybody else? We have a new member joining us. Welcome, Tom, to the show. Anybody want to answer Krish's question or ask another question or bring up another topic? We're still going to stick on to Kailash, actually. Krish, do you have anything to say?
I think various people have various different definitions of consciousness. So I think we should first question what even is consciousness, because there's a difference between awareness and consciousness. I think to not nuke ourselves down, awareness is enough, but consciousness is like something more. It's like a divine state. But I really don't know what even consciousness itself is. So I think first we should ask ourselves, what is it? What is consciousness?
That's a great point. Awareness and consciousness.
Maybe
Sure.
maybe we could ask like, what is mind versus consciousness, or spirit versus spirit, maybe.
Well, let's expand on what I said, that Kailash expands your consciousness. So some of us have agreed that this is a necessity. We have to expand and raise our consciousness. And now the question is, what is it? How does this work? And how can Kailash help you? If Kailash can even help you. Instead of going too philosophical into this and talking about consciousness, it's a very fancy word. Maybe we can bring it down to a more human level. We can say that it enhances your mind, or it improves your intelligence. It strengthens your energy, gives you more competence with your energy. It makes you more aware of how your human system works, brings you in more balanced state of mind with life, and helps you to understand the mysteries of life, which ultimately lead to eradicating the confusion that you have living here on planet Earth. So those few things that I mentioned are definitely valuable for human beings. At least hopefully that you think so. Maybe you think so. That's what Kailash can do. And in many ways, Kailash is the the source of spirituality on planet Earth. It is the very pinnacle, it's the peak. There is no higher source in this. Just like you look at the ocean, is the ocean the source of water? Not quite, not really. Well, what about the rivers that feed the water, or the ocean? They are getting closer to the source, but they're not the source. The source is the mountain peaks that hold snow. As the snow melts, it dribbles down, forms rivers, and ultimately ends in the ocean. So the snow-covered peaks is what Kailash is to spirituality. All spiritual knowledge, from as far as I see, all spiritual wisdom and understanding, all major religions, and everything that human beings know is as a result of this great man. Well, can't really say that, but definitely, probably, most likely, it has its origins in Kailash. At least I haven't seen a larger spiritual library anywhere else on this planet Earth. Kailash doesn't belong to any particular religion or set of beliefs. It's just a mountain there in the northern Himalayas. And the people that used it the most were the Hindus, the people that lived in between the Himalayan ranges and the South Indian Ocean. It's a nice, safe, protected atmosphere. They didn't have to fight for their survival because no one would dare cross the mountains. That would be suicide. And also, no one had a large enough navy to scale the oceans the dangerous terrain, and enter. And if they did, they would be handled very quickly. So, Indians have kind of lived a life of peacefulness, tranquility. Sure, there are some quarrels with their neighbors once in a while, but for the large extent, what the horrors of the planet Earth had to experience in other parts of the land, Genghis Khan and Alexander the Great and all these great rulers, so to speak, going into your land and conquering and slaughtering, Indians didn't have to experience that. So in other places of the land, your survival was needed for you to take care of yourself and for you to protect yourself. Building walls was the most important priority. That wasn't the case in India. The walls were already built in forms of the mountain and the ocean. So what's left? Make some food, make love to your wife, and think about the deeper mysteries of life. And fortunately, the greatest source, or a great source of spiritual knowledge, existed just north of the Himalayas, which is ultimately Kailash. So we're talking about Shiva now. Shiva is the source of Kailash. Shiva is the man that made this happen, is the man that created this. Shiva, as far as I understand, what I'm told, is not his name. This is just the label that people gave him. Shiva means nothing, nothingness, empty. A man that's totally empty. Master in the occult sciences, not a human being, something else, extraterrestrial. Very high in his physical appearance and stature. They said that he was in line with a horse. His head was at the height of a horse, about 9 feet tall. Didn't have a birth. There's no parentage, no stories of his birth, no passing away for him, no grave. He kind of came here, played around for some time, stored his energy here in this mountain, and left. Still in the universe somewhere, still visiting, as Sadhguru says, still coming and going. And we're all privileged to be alive on planet Earth because we have this fantastic source available to us. It's literally right in our backyards. Some people have pools in their backyards, and a pool is very useful. And it's right in your backyard, so convenient. You can swim. If the situation on the planet Earth goes south, you have abundance of water. You can make fresh. Water is nice to look at. That's a close analogy to what we have. It's like right there in our backyard. The most powerful mystical library that exists, as far as what I've seen. So yes, powerful place. I'll open it up to you guys. Whatever you want to say, share. Feel free.
So when you say, okay, when you talk about this being also like the energy of it being made for and open to also extraterrestrials, but it just so happens to be centered on our planet, and we are then like blessed and lucky because of that in a way. Could you expand on that a little bit more, or like, is there any, like, yeah, trying to get that into context here, because it seems a little bit like human centric almost, or is it just a coincidence, or like, why is it on our planet then? Like, what if it's for everybody in the whole universe or whatever, right?
Yes, we are very lucky. We're very fortunate from one side of this. From another side, humans are quite important and special. Even though when our ego gets in the way of it and thinks we're very special, that's the wrong way of looking at it, but it's an objective reality. It's a good destination to be born into. In Buddhism and the Buddhist culture and the Buddhist teachings, the Buddha said that being born as a human being is like being born in the middle. There are lower dimensions in this reality, like ghosts, like hell beings, and various other realms, that it's a painful condition. Very easy to see this in the animal world. And the animal world is below us. We're not animals. I mean, biologically we're animals, but we're above animals. We're not, we have animal nature, but we have the ability to transgress it. Animals don't have that capability. So an animal world is a bad destination. You're born as an animal, not so great for you. You're born as a human being, wow, so much potential. You can transgress every limitation that's set upon you in this universe. That's what a human being is capable of. Similarly, above the human level is higher dimensional beings, angelic beings and gods and various fairies and lots of things. They experience, as far as what the Buddha said, they experience great pleasure and live a very long time. In the spiritual sense, also not the greatest to be born there, because extreme distraction. You live for 100 million years or a billion years, and in ecstasy you are. Nothing's a big deal. And it seems like you're going to live forever. This is how the Buddha explained it. You just kind of live out your life, you're an angelic being, but they're still unwise. They're still foolish. And once the body breaks apart in that destination, the old karma still stays there, and you fall back right into the lowest pits of hell. And the cycle of a life continues. You're born here, born there, born everywhere. When you're born as a human being, you're born in the middle, meaning you're both in pain and in pleasure simultaneously. Very easy to see that. You taste some delicious food, wow, remarkable, feels so good. You're walking to the kitchen, you stub your toe, intense pain. So living in the human body is not easy, very challenging. And this gives rise to wisdom. This gives the potential for you to become wise, for you to investigate, what is this life about? The coarseness of this body, the fact that it's made out of earth and bones and blood and muscle, it can give rise to wisdom. At least it's right there. It's right in the periphery. You can't hide from it. You can't distract yourself from it, like in the higher realms. And it's not too painful, like in the lower realms. They can't do it because intense pain. The last thing you're going to be thinking about is spirituality when you've stubbed your toe. Spirituality pretty much goes out the window. So yes, being born as a human being is a great destination. And I'm not sure why Shiva chose this earth. Maybe we are lucky. Maybe he brought it to us. Maybe we just happen to live here. Some species had to live here. But at the same time, this is not the only species that's benefiting from this planet. There are beings that are alive on this earth that are active and that are making use of this. And I know this firsthand. When I was in Kailash, the Manasarovar water or the Manasarovar lake that is there, this is the water from that lake. There are beings that spawn there. There are beings that fly into that river and they do something. They go inside the water. They have their own business. And they fly out like an airport. They're making use of it. And they have absolute no care that you exist here. It's like, I'm going about my business and some squirrel is eating a peanut or something. Okay, that's fantastic for you. But I'm doing my own business. Just like that. So we think that we're here and this is our planet. No, it's not our planet. We just happen to be here also. There are things far beyond what your human perception can see that's also active here. And other beings are making use of Kailash too.
It's a very interesting picture, imagining like aliens kind of coming down to, like you were saying, like a squirrel, like kind of if you were to imagine some alien who would go around to different planets and instead of picking nuts or something, would kind of pick up like the vibrations. Kind of an interesting kind of uh, image. Yeah.
Yes.
I also wanted to add something about the question. Gosh, so lucky. Um, I actually know this from Shiva's talking that Sadhguru said that this Kailash is not the first Kailash and not the biggest or not the most important or something like this. It's like a summer house for Shiva to come sometimes to visit it on the weekends, something like this. So it may be so that there is at least two Kailashs in the universe, but I assume there is much more for different kinds of beings to benefit from it. So yeah, it's not the only Kailash that is available in the universe.
Yes, absolutely. Welcome, Haley, to our show. Glad you're tuning in. And yes, in this human realm on this planet Earth, there are at least two Kailashes. So Sadhguru said, and wherever Shiva spends some time, that becomes Kailash. There's Kailash of the south in South India, and there's the major Kailash in the northern Himalayas. As you're talking about this, Alex, I'm opening up my perception. I can see this too. Definitely. This is not Shiva's main abode. This is kind of his side project. He came down to planet Earth, and he has these capabilities. He might as well put them to use, and he made Kailash. But this is not his original abode. It is his. It's like, if I have a home, if I had a house, I want to powerfully energize it. I want to store all of my energy into it because it's a strong foundation for me. But if I travel somewhere to Europe or somebody else's house and I'm staying there for some time, whatever business I have to do, I also want to make use of it because it's good. It's good for everybody. Good to consecrate things. So I can put my energy into the walls or into a rock or to a mercury little pendant like this that I have here because it's a nice thing to do. I'm capable of doing that, and I do that. So that's exactly what Shiva did. This is not the main Kailash. The main Kailash is somewhere in the universe. I have no idea where. I wish to explore that. But yes, this is the side Kailash. For us, it's the biggest thing in the universe.
What does it feel like to be there, though? Like, like, if you could put it into words, I mean, it's probably hard. I would guess.
Kailash is the biggest authority on life. That's the best way of putting it. Welcome, Zen, my longtime viewer, subscriber, and very active person on Discord. I'm glad you're joining us today. Shout out to you, Zen. So, men are authority figures here on planet Earth, or at least they can be. If you develop yourself, if you're an authority figure, if you are competent in some skills, you can be an authority. Like Donald Trump is an authority. He's becoming the president of the United States. But that's kind of social authority. You can become more authoritative than even the president. That's just the skill that you have. But if a more evolved being came, instantly he would become the authority because he has more access to life. He has more knowledge, more wisdom than you. That's just naturally how it is. At the same time, the wisest being that can come, they can't be compared to Kailash. Well, at least if they're smarter than Kailash, then I guess they could if it's Shiva himself. But Kailash is like that. It's the highest authority on planet Earth. That's how I see it. That's how I feel it. And the last day that I was in the hotel room, I was just shedding tears because it's just so powerful. It's too powerful. It is the highest authority. It is the most amazing teacher. The energy of it is so strong. It's so potent. It takes life on its own. It's an alive mountain. It's very silly to say this, but it is like it's alive. It's the most wonderful teacher, the most fantastic experience that I've ever had in my life. Nothing even remotely comes close. It's something that you must experience. These words can maybe inspire you, maybe a little bit of energy can rub off on you, but most importantly, decide this for yourself, that one day in your life you will go see this place, because it would be a huge tragedy and you would miss out on a lot if you live this human life, and you had a pool in your backyard and you never made use of it. Oof, that sucks.
Let's go together.
Yes, I definitely will be taking people in the near future, in the next year or 2 or 3, whenever Shiva calls me. I will make this. I will make this happen.
There is 2 more new um, participants in our call. So, if Zen and Haley, I'm very pleased to see you here. If you can say some words, please.
So
If you're
we opened up with an introduction and how you came about my YouTube channel, and what were your first impressions of me. That's how we started this podcast. Then we started talking about Kailash. So if you would like to turn on your camera, if you have one, and if you'd like to unmute yourself, you can do so. Talk a little bit about me. If not, we'll move on.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Welcome, Haley. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Pleased to be here. The first time I came across Shiva's channel was actually when I was sleeping over at a friend's house, and I just clicked on YouTube and I found his channel. There's no account signed in, and I remembered, like, when I go home, I'm going to search this person up. And the next day I went home and I subscribed to Shiva Kailash Shambho.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And Zen, the wise Zen. If you have any words to share with us, you may do so now.
Man, I can't remember exactly how I found you, but I know I wanted to know more about Hinduism in general and Sadhguru, and that you knew a lot about it, and so I've stuck around to learn.
Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for sticking around all this time and being active on our Discord server. Thank you very much. Well, if anybody else has any questions about Kailash, any comments, anything you want to mention, feel free to do so.
Well, I just want to see what people have to say about this. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Shiva, did you say Kailash is the source of spirituality for this planet?
That would be an accurate statement.
It's just, I think that's a interesting thing to say, because from my personal understanding, it seems that spirituality, or the spiritual realm, is the source of this world. So I would say that spirituality is inside of every person. And when you say Shiva is nothingness, I think of nothingness kind of as empty space or something, or as the container for all of reality. And so there is no place where nothingness is not accessible. There is no place where Shiva is not accessible. So I don't see why it's so important to go to Kailash as the mountain, as far as Kailash exists in every place as the container.
I think his idea was that it was because Shiva meditated there, and it's just vibrated.
Yeah, so it's a more embodied version.
Yeah,
Would that be
like
worth it to say?
what I would, I'll briefly give my take from what you said was, I would say, like, yes, of course you could find and connect to spirituality from anywhere, but it's just a difference of different situations, different places have different vibrations. So, right, like you could be in a really lower, more dense negative vibration, and you can connect to spirituality, but it can be more challenging. Whereas if you go to some place with a super high vibration, like Shiva was trying to explain, how it's almost just dominates you, like it, because it's just so overwhelmingly powerful and pure essence of this type of energy is my interpretation from hearing what he said and hearing what you put back, and that's what I synthesized.
That's a very accurate statement. Yes, it's correct. As Josh was saying, it's absolutely true that the emptiness or the nothingness of life, the empty space, is everywhere. You can be just as spiritual on Mars as you can be on Earth. Yet, however, at the same time, it's very unlikely for you to uncover all the mysteries of the universe by yourself without a handbook, without a guide, or at least something guiding you. It's extremely unlikely, maybe even impossible. It's the equivalent of, all the mechanics of life, how to fix a car can be argued is within you. But who is going to discover that? Who's going to become an expert mechanic just tuning into their own body and then going fixing a car? That's 1 in a million, maybe rare. So we have this fantastic tool available to us, Kailash. No better spiritual library on planet Earth. You can be spiritual in other places. You can discover spirituality halfway across the universe, very far away from these spiritual places. But it's designed for that. It's extremely easy to do so. Extremely easy. So make use of it, my friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll ask another question that maybe you can expand on. When you talk about it being good for all sorts of beings, you said demons and angels or whatever, humans, aliens. And then you also said something about how you bring this rock into someone's space and it will force them to change their ways. So how I was interpreting it when you were talking about it being good for all sorts of people with all sorts of beings with different goals, you could say, was that it will assist you no matter what your goal is. And then when you said that it will force you to make changes, I saw that kind of as a contradiction, but I'm wondering if you can expand on that and maybe, do you see where I'm coming from?
Yes, I see. So it will force you to the truth. That's what I'm saying. That's what I should have said. It will force you to look differently in your life, to drop your habits that are harmful, that are unhelpful, that damage your life, that hurt your body. It will do this by force. You can't help it. And it's not like you want to hold on to those things in the first place. It's very natural to drop things that are painful, that are unhealthy and unnatural. Life works this way. So if a better opportunity comes, always 100% of the time, you will take it. That's just the wiring of the biology. You will always go towards pleasure. This is like the ultimate father coming to your life and saying, hey, you just let everything go onto me. You very easily and quickly you do that. I'm not sure if that answers your question. I hope that's sufficient, adequate.
Yes. Yeah. I like that answer. I think it makes sense. And I think this ties together two questions that I asked, because you said it brings it closer to truth. And so no matter what you're trying to accomplish, the truth will be helpful because that gives you the most accurate set of data to navigate with. So, and that brings me back to why would we want to expand that? Well, expanded consciousness means more truth. It seems like that would make sense. If you're conscious of something, it's more conscious, more reality in your perception. More reality in your perception, more truth, and the better capability to navigate through your life. So that's just my thought.
if spirituality is everything, and if it's everything, then it also means it's power, and so it's enlightenment and bliss and everything good, but it's also has some power to do what you want, to help you do what you want.
I don't want to confuse you here. I'll say the truth, say it honestly. Also, Kailash is a destructive force. In fact, Shiva is known as the destroyer in Hinduism. The three basic fundamental realities of Earth are creation, sustenance, and destruction. Shiva is the destructive element, the destroyer, the destruction. So when you go to Kailash, when you touch this space, when you connect to this energy, it doesn't even have to be that you physically go there. You will experience some form of destruction in your life. Destruction, I think commonly people associated with maybe a bulldozer destroying your house, or bricks of the house is falling down. You don't want destruction. Destruction is seen something is bad. You want to keep everything nice and contained, and destruction is bad. Well, yes. Unless you want to build a better house, unless you want to remodel, unless you want to create something new, then destruction becomes essential. And in the spiritual game, you've acquired so many concepts, so much illusory, so much illusion, not seeing things clearly. It's very necessary for you to start destroying that and destroy those aspects of life. And a fundamental tool like Kailash is essential and necessary for that. Kailash's energy is like a fire, the ultimate fire, or it's the ultimate bulldozer that expertly destroys your house and makes way for an absolute clean foundation where either nature can flourish through or a better house can be built or whatever else. So destruction is absolutely necessary. Again, to clarify, not to get this confused, not destruction of your body, of course, that's bad and harmful. You want to keep yourself alive, but destruction of ignorance, fundamentally. You want to destroy your ignorance. All that remains is sanity, clarity, peace, perception, emptiness.
I
Okay.
remember.
I have another question I'd like to take
Yes.
into a direction about the rocks, and you spoke about like taking home rocks from that mountain. So one thing I've heard, for example, about the mountain Uluru in the center of Australia, it's been a sacred mountain for the Aboriginal people for tens of thousands of years. So it's been for a long time their ritual space. And it's a pretty common story to hear that, you know, ignorant tourists go to Uluru and they bring home rocks. And because they bring home rocks, they become cursed. They actually carry a curse into their life until they return the rock back to Uluru, where it belongs. Would you say that any such thing applies to Kailash, this mountain?
That's very interesting that you said that, because in some sense, in some essence, that is true. How is it true? Because when you go to a powerful energy space, taking rocks is a little bit foolish and childish. You should take that energy space into yourself. That's the wisest thing you can do. Taking a little souvenir like a little rock is a little bit childish. It's a juvenile. So maybe you don't have the technology or capability to take the energy into yourself. So you think you should take a rock. That's not the wisest thing to do. That's a kind of scattered consciousness. So in some ways, yes, you could be cursed. Not to say that there's some beings that are living in the mountain are going to curse you, oh, you're taking our property. Nothing like that. You curse yourself. But not because you took a rock. You curse yourself every day. It's not some big thing. And maybe potentially if you go to a powerful place and you really don't know what you're doing, you may curse yourself much harder. So why did I take rocks? Coming back to my story of why I originally took rocks is because now actually after you saying this, it's a little bit foolish also. Maybe I'll put them back. I don't know the next time I go. And also simultaneously, to be fair, the amount of rocks that are there, you can't exhaust it, even if you tried. Even if every single human being went there, 8 billion people, and took something, it would almost be indifferentiable. So I took rocks because A, I want to have this powerful energy space in my room. I want to amplify this and make Kailash in my room. And that's the technology and that's the tools to do that. And B, I also took rocks to help my family members and to give generously to the people that are around me so they get to touch this essence without actually having to physically go there, because it's quite a commitment to go there. It's high in altitude. It's difficult to climb. It's expensive. It costs a lot of money to go there. Food is not the greatest. Not proper facilities. It's very rustic. So, not to mention that it requires lots of preparation, spiritual preparation. You have to be prepared in life for this to be invited to you. You can't just decide, okay, I'm going to go tomorrow. No, it's not going to work out. So, yeah, that's why I took rocks, to help people spiritually.
Just one question to Shiva. You said to help your family members, and I was wondering, are your family members someone also is practicing spirituality in some way, or maybe is an Isha meditator or Sadhguru's devotee?
No to almost all the questions, but my mother is spiritual. She has clairvoyant gifts and abilities. She likes Sadhguru, but she's not as devoted as I am, not as intense as I am about him. And she kind of asked me. I told her I think I'll bring you a rock, and she said, absolutely, yes, you should. And so I did. My brother is also not spiritual, but you give him time, he'll awaken to his reality soon. And I also brought him a rock. I'm yet to give it to him because, like I said, it's still in Nepal. It didn't work out, so I have to get it shipped. But yes, no doubt, it'll be very valuable for him in the future. Welcome, Leo, to the show.
Great.
Yes,
There's Leo.
What's going on?
We were looking for you earlier, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I messed up the times, my bad. But I hope everyone is doing well.
yes, thank you for joining us. We were just discussing, I'm sure everybody knows Leo here. We do a podcast together. And to introduce yourself, we were asking the members that joined how you first initially found me or my YouTube channel, this YouTube channel, Shiva Kailash Shambho. And what were your first impressions of me?
Yeah, good question. Let me jump on here properly. All right, let me know if you guys can see me.
Yes, good to see you. Welcome.
Yeah, first impressions. I mean, I found Carlos's channel. Does anyone know Carlos here?
Yes.
Scary Hours podcast, and I saw basically saw a podcast of Shiva and Carlos together, and basically Carlos was just bullying Shiva for this whole podcast. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? This is crazy. And it actually brought up a wounded inner child in me that wanted to come and defend Shiva. I was like, man, I want to jump on this podcast. I want to, talk to this Carlos guy. I want to put him in his place. And so I reached out to Shiva, and we had a nice conversation. We went back and forth, and then they ended up adding me onto one of the podcast episodes. And yeah, from there was a nice connection that was built. And we've just spoken ever since.
Thank you very much for reaching out to me and for that, for sticking up to me. And yes, I'm glad you did. We're doing lots of shows together. And now talking about Kailash. This is the Kailash podcast. Do you have any thoughts to share about Kailash? What do you think about this place?
Nothing specific to share in this moment, no.
Fair enough.
Is it hard to go? Is it How does the process work of trying to go to Kailash?
Well, you need to have a group visa. That's the technical side of things. China doesn't allow you to go by yourself. It's illegal, especially in Tibet. You can't go. You need a group visa, so you have to find a tour company that takes you. And then you take a bus from Nepal, usually, to China and to Tibet, and you drive for a few days and stay in hotels every night until you get to the city where Kailash is. Then you drive to Kailash and you have the choice to walk around. The hotels aren't that great. It's fairly convenient now. Back 20 years ago, the hotels weren't there. It was very difficult. You had to sleep in tents. And still, the bathrooms haven't been established. There are really no bathrooms there. It's just very smelly. So still work needs to be done, but a lot has been done to manage that place and to make it what it is today. So it's relatively easy, but a lot has to be done. It costs quite a lot, approximately 3,500 US dollars for the entire trip. All food and expenses are paid for. That's not a pretty penny, or it is. And again, psychologically, you have to prepare because it's a steep incline. The people that have went with me in the group that I've went with, there were some older people and some people couldn't make it. They had altitude sickness just below the mountain, let alone climbing it or going to the actual seeing it. And they had to be turned around, and some people were violently sick. I witnessed personally people that were trekking around the mountain at the highest peak, the Dormala Pass, it's called. A little boy was basically going into hypoxia. That's what it appeared to me. He was nearly passing. So he had to be rushed down. And some older man also just fainted, collapsed on the same path. The highest elevation there was 5,700 feet. So he had to be carried down. And I'm not sure if he made it, to be honest with you. Someone said that he didn't make it, so that's quite tragic. So not only the logistical side, you have to prepare emotionally, mentally, and most of all spiritually. This is a kind of an invitation and a calling. I did a fantastic interview with the person that led me to this place. Her name is Shalini, and the title of the video was She's Been to Kailash 18 Times. You should search that up and watch that. I was asking her, and she was telling me experiences that she's been in this business for 17, 18 years or longer than that, actually, probably 20 years or more. And lots of people make plans, but life pushes them out, or at the very last moment, some catastrophe happens. So you can't logically will yourself into this. So I'm going to go to Kailash, I'm going to make it happen. It doesn't work that way. You have to let life guide you, let life let you go there.
How would you compare the vibrations of Kailash and Sadhguru? I know you did some other practices. How, like, if you could put it into words, it's probably difficult.
The last time that I saw Sadhguru was in 2023. He was in Sydney doing the first Soak in Ecstasy of Enlightenment program. And he walked on stage and he walked through the entire hall, and I got to witness him. He was a few meters away from me. And I saw in his heart, in his chest area, he was so open and vibrant. He was so open to Kailash and vibrant with his energy. He embodied the essence of Kailash so well. So he definitely has been there multiple times, and he's learned to gather its essence, and it changed him, totally transformed him. You could say he's a byproduct of Kailash. So Sadhguru is just that, a byproduct of Kailash, and that's exactly how I wish to be.
What about other practices? How would you compare the vibration of, maybe, I know you tried Vipassana, or is there some words that could describe it, or is it just beyond words?
No, there's no real practice that's going to get you close to that. If you want to experience Kailash in your room, you should download the picture that I took of that. There, you can find it on my Discord on updates section. And look at it. If you can see a expanded version, the bigger that it is, the better it is. It's a high quality resolution picture. And meditate on it. Chant some mantras, look deeply, stare at it. Don't close your eyes. Things will inevitably happen to you.
I just want to. Oh, Leo, were you going to speak?
So it was.
Okay. I just have a quick comment, slightly humorous. When you were mentioning about the bathrooms, it kind of struck me the metaphorical imagery. I think this is a bit funny, the cosmic joke type of thing. That we have this. You're speaking. This is like this fountain of spiritual wisdom, the most profound fountain of spiritual wisdom we have on this planet, and it's so human that we are shitting all over it, like quite literally. That's all. That's my observation.
Yes.
Just
Yes, it is funny. And I've seen lots of garbage there. It really disappointed me. I've seen human diapers there. There's a YouTube short that I have. It's like Kailash Trash. That's probably the title. And I record a video of me sitting next to a human diaper. It's like, how do you do that as a human being? It's the most enlightening space on planet Earth. Let me just eat a wrapper and throw it away. Just no education.
I
I
think
guess there's some types of ignorance it doesn't blast you out of right away, huh?
I think that's the nature of some of these spaces, these like energy vortexes that they call them, is that there's a light and dark. There's like an intensity of light and dark. It's the same in a previous podcast when I spoke about my time in Tulum, where it's like a lot of new age spirituality and it's actually built on cenotes. So the whole land underneath it has water. The nature of water is very fluid, a lot of fluidity in the energy there. But again, you also get a lot of people that are doing drugs, and you have corruption with the police. And so it's like a balance of these both energies. So I'm not surprised that there is some like disrespect of the land as well. It kind of shows what kind of people are coming there, all kinds of different people.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I think I have to go. Thank you for.
Thank you very much for
Yes.
joining us.
It was nice talking with you earlier, Shiva.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Yes, that's unfortunate that that's the case. It really is revealing to the human psyche and human consciousness. People, unfortunately, litter and trash all over the place.
Do you think this is a kind of a fundamental way the universe works where something goes really, I don't know if these are the right words to use, but you could say good and evil, okay? We'll say a lot of light or light and darkness. A lot of light in one area almost draws more darkness to that area, almost like an immune response. What do you guys think of that?
I think it's more accurate just to use the perspective that Leo shared of Tulum. I definitely see it's a very polarized place. It's very like polar opposites. Both are there. And it's very easy to see with the drugs there and also the spiritual space. Kailash, I wouldn't necessarily say it's like that. It's a very potent, powerful place. So I don't think it would allow people that are very negative and dark to go there. Yet at the same time, I've seen some recent podcasts with someone sharing that he went to Kailash. It was called The Twisted Reality. That's the YouTube channel. And some man went to Kailash and he said he was Sadhguru. He went with Sadhguru actually. And Sadhguru said, you go and tell people that it's time to eat or do something. You go. And he said he remembers he went up to this man, he tapped him on the shoulder and said, it's time to go eat or something. And the man turned around and said, don't ever touch me like that again. Don't ever touch me. Insinuating he wants to fight. The man was taken aback. And I also thought that's just absurd. And the man said, you're in Kailash, the most sacred space in the world, in the universe. Those are my words. I don't really know what it is. You have to experience it for yourself. And that's your reaction. That's a little bit inappropriate and sad, revealing your character. So yes, all types of people go there. It really doesn't matter who goes there, actually. It's okay if you have anger or frustration or negativity or agitation, whatever. That's fine. Just don't litter. That's my public service announcement. I saw this older man. This was in Tibet, so we're a few hours away from Kailash, and he was eating something out of a plastic plate and a plastic fork. And he was done eating, and he tossed the plate and fork into the stream. Just pristine, clear stream you could possibly imagine. Fish swimming in it. Just pristine nature. Here, this is where it belongs, plastic. I was taken back. I was shocked. So yes.
What did you say to him?
I just made some noises like, buddy, are you okay? And thankfully for him, or thankfully for me, his group kind of attacked him. They jumped on him verbally. What are you doing? He was an older man, older gentleman. So these things, I guess, weren't taught to him. He wasn't educated. And I don't think he cared. Which is very frustrating and upsetting.
That's actually interesting how we don't even need to speak.
Maybe this is the best thing that we can do right now.
I guess yes.
Shiva,
Yes.
was your experience in Kedarnath as intense as Kailash? Did you feel Shiva's presence equal?
That's a great question. No one really asked me anything about Kedar, and opens up my memory to that place. Yes, absolutely. That is probably the second most powerful place of Shiva's energy. It is so unique. The mountains there, the geometry of them, they've been energized. It's like the most potent, delicious, amazing energy. I was only there for one night, for one day. And yes, it's an experience to be had. Definitely, Shiva's presence is there. His energy is there. And actually, it was the first time I got a tinge of this Kailash energy. It was in Kedarnath. I must admit and say this also, that the temple in Kedarnath didn't really strike me as so fantastic. It is fantastic. Everything there is fantastic. But the most fantastic thing is the mountains. That's the source of that place. And lots of yogis were there. They energized it. I'm sure Shiva was also there, and he left his mark. Yes, very powerful place.
And what about the Rudraksha Baba? What can you say about him?
Yeah, he gave me a Badraksha, which means it's a fake Rudraksha. The three two-faced Rudraksha that he gave me, alongside the 12 or so actual real Rudraksha. The authentic Rudraksha were the big ones, but the two-faced Rudraksha were a different type of seed. It's not Rudraksha, it's something else. It has no energy of it. So I thought that was kind of funny, but he was wearing it, so he didn't mind, he didn't care. That man was remarkable. That man was powerful. He was like a walking temple, totally energized himself. This is, I'm gathering his inspiration also with Reagan Rudraksha. I was very fascinated with him when I first saw him. So I'm glad I did see him.
Would you say wearing Rudrakshas helps you? That much Rudrakshas, I'm not talking about one or two. but this much.
Yes, it does. It gives me the power and the energy to speak in this way, the confidence and self-assurity to claim these things, to speak this way. It's an energy-giving source. It's also an intelligence. The more intelligence you wear, the better off for you. I know that Sadhguru says somewhere, someone mentioned to me that he said this. I've never heard him say this, but wearing multiple Rudraksha lowers your sensitivity. I guess that's true. I assume that's true. This is not for, this is for a particular this is for a particular strategy I have in life and in this game of YouTube. That's why I wear them.
I have another question.
Yes, go ahead.
What are your spiritual practices every day?
I wish I had a good answer for this. I don't really have spiritual practices. I started Shambhavi Mahamudra back again a few days ago, and I was consistent for a few days, but I realized if I do it once, it's good enough for a few days, for me personally. And it's a little bit unhelpful for me to do this every day. What is my spiritual practice? Well, I do spiritual conversations with my good friend here, Leo. That's a big spiritual practice that I have. I do these calls with you. I chat with people online. I eat food. That's quite spiritual. I watch videos, YouTube videos, spiritual YouTube videos. I meditate in terms of I'm aware of myself. This is the most important thing to me in my life is my inner experience. So I don't spend a single moment not looking at this into my mind. And the most spiritual aspect of my life is when I lay down in bed and about to go to sleep. That's when the most things happen. And I can comfortably relax. That time is the most awareness that I have.
Your entire life is a sadhana.
Yes, that's
I
correct.
think I think I have a better spiritual practice than Shiva. I haven't been too strong on it recently, but normally I'd wake up, drink some alcohol, smoke a nice cigarette.
Oh yeah.
And, yeah, it just really gets my energy body ramped up, just clearer for the day.
Very spiritual.
Let the spirits in, yeah. Drink the spirits, let the spirits in.
Yes. Yes.
Drink the gin.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, I think that we have all these stories as to what spirituality is, and we have to be a very specific, rigid way to be perceived as spiritual. And we take in all these conditionings of other people, but at the end of the day, everything is spirituality. Everything is spirituality. I saw this meme recently. It was like spirituality beginner, spirituality advanced. And on the beginner, it had like tarot cards and crystals and all these different spiritual items. And then on the advanced, it had a cup of coffee and a cigarette. And I was like, wow, that is very accurate. So, yeah, I don't think there's one right way. And I think
Yes.
it's important to just embrace all of the duality, you know? There's no wrong or right in this process.
I think I agree.
No wrong or right.
I would say there is kind of one criteria, I guess, which would be a genuine desire or a genuine love of wisdom. And I think
Yeah.
that's kind of the only thing. As long as your heart is in the right pace. All these yogic practices, I think there's a lot of postures and they can have certain benefits, but as far as accessing the full potential of these things, what it comes down to is having the attitude of the posture that it's meant to, and that strong desire. Lots of them are meant to kind of move energy up. And anyway, so yeah, I think you can go all sorts of ways, coffee and a cigarette, but when you have the love of wisdom, that's the most fundamental thing.
I would say that wisdom is accumulation of knowledge, which is a mind pursuit. And I believe true spirituality is one who seeks truth on all levels. But on the deepest level is one's emotional state, more their emotional state than their mind and how much things that they know. And
yes,
so the way
yes, I agree.
way that I would distill it is who's willing to pursue truth. How much courage are you able to bring in your pursuit of truth, really? Are you willing to die in the name of truth? Or are you going to mentally masturbate your way into becoming a spiritual master? I don't think so.
Can I please add something?
Of course.
I just wanted to briefly say that spirituality is like this. If it works for you, then it's the right way.
Well said. And I have a question for Krish. So I see your setup behind you. Can you talk about all that and more specifically talk about your picture painting of Kailash?
So yeah, I got the Dhyana Linga Yantra and also like the classic picture of Sadhguru. That's also kind of yantra. It's also what Moopa said, a person on your Discord. And yeah, I got the Jyoti Linga that's in the Dhyana Linga temple, Bhairavi, and also a Dhyana Linga picture, the same one that you've also got. And I think especially the Kailash picture has like a very drastic energy about it. The Dhyana Linga Yantra is very subtle. It's not that it does not really stand out, but the picture that you've taken, it really stands out because it has like multiple energies about it. And it's really hard to describe like how these energies feel. It's really something that you have to experience. And the Dhyana Linga Yantra is also, it's very, very subtle. But you do notice it in meditation, especially in deep meditations. It's like a very, very, very big support.
I think this concludes our podcast. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Stay tuned for next week where we do just the same thing. Goodbye.
Thank you.